butcher this man. Just look at. I hope Abia State government is seeing this. Look at all these things are bullet. Look at the way bullet just pieces this man. Is this fair?
Honorable, what do you have to say, man? Let us do
Carry the man. Carry this man.
Welcome back to the Futurist New Deal podcast. I am here again with the Honorable Tony Kalu, who is a ranking representative of the Abia state in Nigeria and in times past, and I expect may return to that position in his homeland again. He's speaking to us from his present day home in New York City, and he's done an awful lot of work on behalf of the Nigerian people in Nigeria and in his residence in New York. Thank you again for joining me, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's good to see you again. And we are discussing unfortunate recent events in the Abia state. There have been incidents that are troubling and well beyond troubling in recent times in this area. Tell us a little bit about what has happened here. Many people, unfortunately, do not receive this news as they should in the United States.
Thank you so much for having me. And I thank you for trying to shed light on this very issue. When I was approached and was told that your organization would be interested in having a sit down with me, having an interview with me on this matter and other issues, I thought about it. I was pleased, but at the same time, I thought about it and I asked myself, would this be the right thing to do or not? And at the end of the day, I came away with it was absolutely the right thing to do. You see, a closed mouth don't get fed, like people say in their words. And that is the situation that we're having in Isu, in Abia State. That was a little, almost a year ago. I was in a place in New York City and I was called telling me that there's been an outbreak, a war, a fight, a communal conflict, you name it. But the point is, my people were being slaughtered by their neighboring town. These people are also from a different village and also in a different state, but we're neighboring states, and they are called Cross River. So we are Abia State and they are Cross River State. These two states have a clear-cut boundary. There was no reason for this to be happening, except for in recent time it was discovered that Isu has a large quantity of what do you call it, crystal, white stone. Now, this was discovered in Isu. This limestone is used for producing cement. And these other individuals, the neighbors, they wanted it, but it's not in their state, neither is it in their locality, but it is in Isu and it's also in Abia state. So when interest was being shown both by the Chinese and by another gentleman called Dangote, whom you may know, probably the richest person in the entire Africa. He's a businessman. He has a cement industries, so he buys these raw materials in order to continue producing cement. When he showed interest in Isu and some other players, that puts us in danger. At that point, these neighbors of ours decided maybe they could come over and claim this land. Now, they used to come and farm in that whole area. My forefathers gave them, the lease. Just put some of their small homes, farm, make some food, and that's it. But being that these things were done over 100 years ago, their children and their children's children refused to leave. We never troubled them because we have vast amount of land. So we didn't have to, we didn't need to until recently when they started fighting with us, trying to take over what is naturally ours. Okay, with that being said, it has come to a point that several people were being killed. The government has been informed about this. I personally informed the governor. At the time, I was his special advisor, one of his special advisors on youth mobilization. And I told him, this is what is going on. Our young men and women are being killed. Our elders are being killed. Everybody is being killed in my own homeland, all because of this very product that we have. He was shocked. He empathized with us at the time. He promised once he get back to Nigeria, he will get right onto it and something will be done. Nothing much has been done. When he came around the time for his re-election, I said, okay, what I'm going to do is go down there, work very hard to make sure he wins re-election. I know his heart is in a good place. He's a person that wants to help. Maybe when he wins re-election, just maybe, he may be in a better position to be able to help with this conflict. During that election period, I came around and we spoke over and over on this matter. At some point, he even gave me authorized a utility van to be used for patrol in the area. Promised to send some militaries once he's able to get the clearance. He will send some military to join the team and try to keep us safe. The patrol van was given, but the law enforcement agents were not released. I'm not sure if that's entirely his fault, but during this election period, when I tried to campaign for him in my place, friends, family members, people that wouldn't want to vote for him were like, we really didn't want to vote for this particular party of yours. We do like you. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. We're not asking for roads. We're not even asking for anything else, infrastructure or whatsoever. All we want is to be safe, be protected. And that should be the responsibility of any government of the world to protect its citizen, no matter what, at all costs. So at this point, here are my people being left behind and they are being slaughtered. And these people that we have this issue with is unfortunate. I'm going to use this kind of description, but they are not normal human beings. When you will kill another human being and you sever their head from their body, you mutilate them, even I've heard as far as trying to consume the remains, that is a level of cannibalism I've never seen. And they are doing this and they have pictures of them doing this. Um, it's horrific what is happening. I have a lot of friends within the state government, and a lot of them are trying to help. The commissioner for information, every time there's one of these killings, I will call him. He will sympathize. He's a very good man, John. Okay, Kalu, he's a very good gentleman. He will always try to do the best he can to, get this information to the governor. I do call the governor sometimes myself directly. Most of the time, I send him a text message. The deputy governor is responsible for boundary commission to make sure this kind of conflict does not happen between one boundary and the other. According to them, they are all doing their best. The problem I have with the whole situation is that their best is not good enough, because every day a concrete action is not taken, is every day my people remains in danger, is another day that a potential Isu person could be killed, and that continued to happen for 2 years now. Last time people were mutilated, that was about 2 weeks ago. It was an outrage. The picture went viral on the internet. Um, at that point, I couldn't take it anymore. I wrote an open letter to the governor at this point, and in that letter, I stressed that I was going to take this matter to United Nations, because I think it has gotten to a point like whereby people like Amnesty International or some other organizations within the United Nations need to get involved, maybe lean harder on the Nigerian government, whose number one priority is to protect its citizen. I may be stressing on my state governor a little bit more because I'm a little bit closer to him and have always tried to inform him about what's going on. But the commander in chief is the one who should be able to deploy the military. The representatives from my place, like we had a senator who's no longer there, but when he was there, he tried to plead this case. The gentleman, Honorable Konkole, who is in the Federal House of Representatives, has made motion, I think, on two different occasions, trying to get this matter resolved. But I'm saying there had to be more each and every one of us can do, because these people who are being slaughtered cannot speak for themselves. Some of them cannot even pay the transport fare to go to the capital. But they are completely hopeless. They need this help, and they need this help now. They are not asking for anything else other than, can we just stay alive in the land that our fathers have given to us? That's it, nothing else. And they have done nothing to deserve this kind of, slaughter, this kind of mayhem. They don't deserve it. So, with that being said, I am still interested in politics, very much so. In fact, more so now than ever. I will maybe try to seek for an office myself. I was hoping to get a certain appointment that could have helped me to be able to assist my people, because that's the question everybody is asking me. Like, if you were in power right now, if you had gotten the appointment that we thought you would get, which was why we supported you during the governor's re-election, by now you may be in a position to help. All I can tell you is this: all hope is not lost. I've always believed politics can be a force for good. If not, I wouldn't have been a part of it. The only thing is that when you put political power, in the hands of the wrong person, that wrong person can turn it into something that is very ugly. But when you put power in the hand of the right person, you will know that political power can be a blessing and it can be a force for good. So I continue to strive to get the better part of politics, not the very ugly aspect of it. But sometimes it seems like the ugly aspect of politics continue to overwhelm the goodness of politics. And that becomes the reason why people in Nigeria, most people will tell you politics is ugly, is a dangerous game, is an ugly game. It could be, but it can also be a force for good. And because of this, I continue to trust this very Governor Okezi Bazo, to do the right thing. And I know he can, and I know he will. The question is when, how soon, because these people don't really have a lot of time. Every day they continue to be killed, and nothing is really happening. The military come down there, patrol around, and they leave. We need a police post or a military checkpoint in the very village where this is happening. You cannot keep military like 5, 10 miles away. After the killing is already done, they will come and patrol and then they head back again to their barracks. That doesn't resolve it. They will come again and again and again, and people will continue to die. And that is my problem with this whole situation.
Yes. Being familiar with your work, I would hope that this position or appointment is in the future, because I have a deep sense that you would be a person to help bring a resolution to these matters and restore normalcy to this part of the Abia state. And I thank you for this wise read on this situation. Just to clarify, for this sake of our readers and or our listeners, this event began to flare up in spring of 2018, and it was around the discovery of mineral wealth and the prospect of extracting that wealth in the Isu region, that this earlier conflict was rekindled in this form, and it's ongoing at this time. As you mentioned, only 2 weeks ago, there were more recent atrocities. The photographs that you mentioned that went viral, I have seen them. The truly troubling images there, and things of this kind must be addressed. And the military's approach to this has been quite minimal. There's no presence. There's no attempt to mediate or build any kind of barrier to something of this kind happening again in a very real way. What's particular strategy would you like to see? Would you like to clarify that in if you had a larger hand in this in the future, to see that peace was restored, to see that this predatory behavior, seemingly on the part of this other group, born out of greed, does not continue?
The thing is, everyone that represented my community has never been from my community. That means anything that has to do with my community is a third party issue for them. What I'm trying to say here is, in Abia State, we have 17 local government areas. In one of those local government areas, which is Arochukwu, that's where I'm from, we have 5 clans. Out of that 5 clans, Isu is one of them. No one has ever been elected to any kind of office from Isu, ever. Which was the reason why I got involved. I did not get involved because I thought politics was such a sweet thing or a cheap thing, because it was a very, very expensive endeavor. Mostly when you have majority of your life abroad, is a very, very expensive endeavor. So I have done that, trying to get involved in the process, because if you don't like how things are going, you get involved, you try to make a difference. And that was what I did. When I did not get the nod like I had hoped, I continue to work with them. And I appreciate the fact that the governor at that point, after the election, gave me the opportunity to serve as one of his advisors for 2 years, which I did. At the end of the day, what I am really, really hoping that would happen is, if I cannot personally represent my people on any capacity in order to bring a much needed help to them, at the very least, let the people who are representing them now take this matter very seriously. We recently have another gentleman who became the state representative for this very local government, which this person is in the name of Honorable Okoha. He's a decent fellow. Like I said, the truth is, when it's not your particular home, it will always be a third party issue for you. We have the honorable member in the federal house. He tries his best. Like I said before, if it's not directly affecting you, is still just a business as usual. So someone has to represent ISO specifically in order to feel what these people are feeling. That is one. But immediate resolution or begin to resolve this matter will be the governor, since he has already designated this vehicle for patrol, he should provide the law enforcement agents that should use this very patrol vehicle and stay in Isu, patrol in Isu. They could do that. They have the resources to do this. Or the federal government can designate a police post or military checkpoint in Isu itself. That will also be a deterrent to these very individuals that are coming over to attack Isu people. If they know there's a military checkpoint or a police post in Isu, they will not be doing this. Um, Meanwhile, the deputy governor of Abia State and his team can also continue working on trying to be clear or make a precise, delineation on where the boundaries are. Once these things are put in place, these killings will stop immediately. It will. None of these things that I've told you has been implemented yet. They continue to say it should be and will be, and we're working on it. The same old story. And after 2 years watching your people getting slaughtered, no matter how much you care about the governor, no matter how much you support him, no matter how much you love your party, at some point, your friends and family who are being macheted, who are being killed, being slaughtered like animals, had to have hurt so much that nothing else matters. And that's exactly where I am at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Nigeria and the National Emergency Management Agency and other relevant agencies have deployed materials and made attempts to deal with this, but it's not been in the manners that you've described, and we have seen violence of this kind up until the present time. Some people have described entire villages being razed to the ground as a result of these things. A terrible turn of events. And not too long ago, you and I spoke of a gentleman from the United States, President Trump, and his unfortunate foreign policy in the form of travel bans that have recently affected Nigeria. But speaking of other foreign interventions of different kinds, do you feel that there is a role to be played, not specific to the United States, but of others outside of Nigeria in addressing these matters potentially, or would you prefer to see them addressed in the way that you have described with a more robust intervention?
Well, I am from a culture whereby when you have a problem in your family, you try to deal with it within your family first and foremost, try to resolve it. And that is what I have been doing with both Abia State government and with the representatives of my clan, like the very honorable man from Abam, who is Ukonkole, who is in the federal house. I've always tried to give them enough wiggle room because I know it's not easy. They are also dealing with a difficult situation on their own level. But it comes to a point you say to yourself, if you cannot get this done, maybe it's time for me to bring outside help. I know Amnesty International. This is, I would literally call this a genocide. I don't know how else you need to qualify or quantify a genocide, but this is what is going on. A particular tribe or group of people decided that this other group of people do not deserve to be here, do not deserve to exist. And you begin to kill them, you begin to, slaughter them with impunity. That is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. That is where I'm from. I cannot deny it's now where I'm from. That's where I'm from. My father was born in this place. We grew up in this place. One of those three villages that are completely burnt down is one of them is where I grew up. That is Amachisu. So that place does not exist anymore. And so on and so forth. But the most painful aspect of it is this. All of these people that ran for their life, that escaped this whole mayhem, uh, they are refugees as we speak. They are homeless. They're either squatting, two, three, four, five of them in a room, or some of them are sleeping in an open tent completely. It's disheartening. But to make matters worse, they don't even have a source of income or source of feeding anymore. Their livelihood was farming, and these farms they cannot go back to. So they did not grow food 2 years ago. They did not grow food last year. So imagine the kind of hardship, untold hardship that these people are facing. Okay, as a result, I understand some of the politicians come around, bring a few bags of rice, take a few pictures. What much of a difference can that make in a week or in a month or in a year? Then the Nigerian emergency management did come. They brought a whole lot of relief material, a whole bunch, I would say. But these are just materials, and it has expected limit, which is maybe in a month, 2, 3, is over. Remember, it took 2 years for them to come. We don't know how long it will take for them to come again. And meanwhile, these people are still starving, they're still struggling, they're still homeless. So there are a lot of things that can be done. Abia state government, in conjunction with Nigerian government, can begin by trying to build a settlement for these people in Isu. These people, these 3 towns that ran away and left their homes and their homes are burnt. We can begin to build a settlement for them where they can now come back to live that is safe. Then we can, this way they'll be able to farm on their own and grow their own food. They are not begging for food. Isu people are not beggars. These are heroes. These are warriors. If we had the time for me to tell you the origin of Isu people, they are not people who are willing to sit back and beg for food. It is a very shameful situation that they are dealing with, and everybody else is treating them like they are second-class citizens or like they don't even exist. Not while I'm still alive. I will not allow them to continue to be treated this way. I will speak up. I will speak out. I will go to wherever I need to go. I will knock at every door that I have to knock at until something is done. They are my people. They are me. I am them. There is no way I can distinguish myself from them. So this is where we are. The government can continue to do whatever they think they can do, but it's still not enough. I need the actual action taken. These 4 situations, first, get them a settlement where they can come back together and have a home, a roof over their head. They did not ask for this. This problem came to them. 2, send these military people to have a military post, maybe military checkpoint in Isu, or have a police post in Isu. Have the deputy governor continue working with the boundary commission in order to map out the exact demarcation between Isu people and these other cross river neighbors. So this way they will have a reason to stay on their end while we stay on our end. And then we can also have the military continue to monitor the boundary. If these things are put in place, there will be peace. If these things are not put in place, there won't be no peace. And I am sincerely, at this point, sincerely begging, literally begging, any organization out there that can help ISO when it comes to this. These people are in desperate situation. They need to be protected. They need to be provided for.
Yes. And I know that our friends at the Transdisciplinary Agora for Future Discussions are sympathetic to this and are working to this end to see this stability restored. You mentioned is disruptions to agriculture and other lifestyle concerns or ordinary day-to-day concerns besides the destruction of villages and damage to property and loss of lives. These are things that are at the center of what TAFS focuses on, but also seeing that some new providence might come to the region. It was 10 years ago that certain parts of the surrounding region, I believe, including Isu, started to be electrified, started to have electricity available to folks. It was also in this time frame that data in the form of cell phone coverage began to come to this region. It's my personal opinion that problems of this kind almost wholly derive from income insecurity and a lack of providence of this kind. Do you have in conclusion? Do you have any words of inspiration or things that you would like to discuss about the future of this region and its economic prospects and strategies therein?
Well, I would say one thing to you for sure. Abia State people are very resilient people. They are very hardworking. Ingenuity is not lacking in Abia State. Mostly when it comes to Aba, which is a very big industrial and economic hub in that whole region. These are people who can manufacture anything. When you think of China, like Shanghai, China, you think about Guangzhou, and you think about Taiwan. Um, Abia State, Aba is almost like one of these great cities. Manufacturing is their thing. They can replicate anything, just show it to them or describe it, they will make it. And they make good quality too. So when it comes to power is important in all of this. And the governor has really, in conjunction with the federal government, have done a very, very good job when it comes to the area of power. Still not enough when it comes to the entire country. We still have places in Nigeria that don't have light for a whole, no power for a whole week. And there are some that get theirs just a few hours of the day. So it's still not enough. Right here in in the Western world, we enjoy electricity 24/7, not even a blink. So that is far from what they are seeing. However, I know in the era of clean energy, with what a lot of people are doing with regards to solar energy and so on and so forth, um, this will greatly benefit ISU if, for instance, this very cement industry is up and running. It will be a huge one. It will be a gigantic one. There will be a lot of jobs created. There will be a lot of powers needed to get this running, and so on and so forth. Economically, ISU is part of what will be the future of Abia State. We just need to have this issue of security handled and handle it properly.
Mhm. Yes. And I'll briefly refer back to a recent podcast on the Futurist New Deal, where we discussed an important individual in this drive for electricity across the African continent, Akon and his Akon Lighting Africa project, which has had some role in undertakings of this kind. We also discussed Akon as an important figure in Afrofuturism and Pan-African movements of different kinds. An incredibly inspiring individual working on very interesting things. I would refer folks back to that podcast, and also stay tuned for a future podcast with the Honorable Tony Kalu, where we will talk about the Aba tech state in the Abia region and the interesting developments there with emerging technology and industry. Thank you again, sir, for taking the time to inform our viewers about this most important of subjects. And I truly wish for peace in this part of the Abia state.
If you've enjoyed this show and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. And also check out benzion2020.com for updates on the campaign, and to go to transhumanist-party.org and sign, become a part of the Transhumanist Party.